Thank you for joining me today on my health walk. AI Health Insights is for amino like it amino acids. Um, I guess B is for butyrate. Well, we'll talk about that the next time. Today on our broadcast, we are looking at LPS and some solutions we're dealing with LPS. Yesterday, if you would have joined, you would have seen the articles. So if you head over to aihealthinsight.org, you would be able to find on the homepage the concurrent runs of the articles and videos. So this article is about LPS, lipopolysaccharide, and my common understanding as a patient of LPS and knowledge seeker. I do not know anything. I'm just seeking after knowledge, and knowledge is independent of my my perception of what knowledge is, because knowledge is a reality in its own self, and different views and versions of the elephant based on which place you are touching the elephant gives you a different interpretation of what is that presentation before you. So in my presentation, I'm looking at the elephant LPS, the lipopolysaccharides, and how I believe that they are protecting bacteria, gram-negative bacteria, and other bacteria in the human gut system, in the human intestinal line system, in the stomach go down, and how they are using this as their protective defense mechanism. And this is, of course, not good for us, good for them, but in large quantities not good for us. So my image capture here, of course, my images are all AI generated from, well, I'm using a collective amount of image generators. This one is from Bing Copilot. So what I'm trying to capture here is a bacteria in a bubble, and the bubble is LPS, which is this lipopolysaccharide. I'm trying to get this to explain to my audience that here is bacteria not exposed to the stomach acidity. Well, it's really a small intestine, I'd say, but who cares at this point in time? We are focused on what we are trying to get the point across. The stomach acidity cannot kill the bacteria because it has already developed that framework of creating that LPS, that home, that shell, which is now in the system, in the gut, where the bacteria could do jobs directly because it's attached to the gut walls, and it directly the this little LPS this bacteria there, which is like a H. pylori, E. coli, whichever ones that we say survive in the acidic environment of the stomach, gets to eat away at the walls of the stomach, and ultimately we find ourselves, not me, but we find as human beings collectively ourselves having things like GI issues in the stomach, which is called ulceration of the gastrointestinal tract. Maybe in the small intestine, and we call that leaky gut. Now, how this happens is different for different people, but normally how it happens is the stomach acidity would at some point in our life drop, and that is where we need to pay attention to when we may be extremely stressed out, or we may be extremely stressed out and moving to the point of view of having a lot of carbs in our intake, in our input, in the food going through there, that is carb based only. Now when carb goes into the system, if we would get the results, we would notice that carbs does not cause the great creation of hydrochloric acid, because it does not have to depend on hydrochloric acid for a long time as compared to hard protein like beef or meat or even fiber. And so pure raw carbs is what we throw ourselves to when we are in an emotional dysbiosis, when we have some stress or we are not doing well in life. We generally jump to high sugary diets and high sugary fat diets, which are called refined products. And I'm not speaking here about proper fats, I'm speaking about the mixtures of fats and sugars, which is called snacks in today's world. Now, that may be one of the scenarios in which the play out of the H. pylori bacteria could now get its environment to say, here is the foods that I need, lots of glucose, which is the saccharides, the monosaccharides, and I have a little bit of fats. I could pull that together and get some protein from wherever and create what is called lipopolysaccharides, or the LPS, that protects the bacteria going forward. And so the bacteria now could start thriving in that ecosystem. So the bacteria is there, doesn't do no harm over 3, 4, 5 years, and then all of a sudden it develops all these great little houses and says, well, let's start multiplying so quick that we could really cause reap havoc, and we start observing it as human beings, creating with gastrointestinal tract issues, and these things go on and on. So the LPS here is what we want to focus on. There's a video by Dr. Rob Cyrus on YouTube. You could see it at the bottom here if you have any interest in listening to somebody from the medical community who has spoken about that in recent times. So what am I trying to aim at here is that some bacteria like H. pylori, we are treating them, and the medical professionals would be ideally honest and tell you that you might treat your H. pylori bacteria, Helicobacteria pylori, with the standard treatment of our great antibiotics and proton pump inhibitor, and sometimes a little peptide small, um, and it works, and then sometimes it does not work. And if you go a little bit more, like the first time it works, hooray. But if you get this there the second time, it might just become like if the bacteria becomes more resistant and it doesn't work. So I'm trying to go through this game plan here to show you how LPS might be or how my theory of LPS might be, where you might want to be consciously aware about what's happening or what might be happening. I'm not saying this is scientific, I'm just saying this is my proposition or my thesis in this discussion here. So I see it as a game that the LPS and the H. pylori plays, or the H. pylori plays to create LPS, which of course is just a bubbly shell lipopolysaccharide that is created to help protect the bacteria. And this article goes through this here. So normally you would see the gram negatives. These are all AI generated, so I have no control of how they look. So if you are complaining that doesn't look like H. pylori, you are correct. But the fact of the matter is we pretend these are small bacteria they are eating away at the walls of our stomach. These are all exposed, they do not have the little shell. So we come in here with a whole load of our antibiotics. We turn down the acidity level by using the proton pump inhibitor like omeprazole, and of course that kills the acidity for a while, and it also kills the gastric juice from producing more acid in the stomach, so that the antibiotics get to these bacteria. So we kill all these bacteria, we kill a whole truckload of them because they are not protected. But the guy who is in his bubble, or the guy who sends this, runs back into his bubble and bam, starts building this by pulling in more glucose, glucose of course from the refined sugars and carbs, from the refined carbs, the snacks, and creates a better bubble. So the second time you come to kill, you kill all those that are exposed, but you don't get to hit these who are protected with the LPS bubble. So we need to, I think it's an idea where we need to really think as well. The medical professionals could think about LPS as being the shield that is protecting the bacteria, and so they strategize to come up with a more cohesive front, a more cohesive strategy to help win the battle against LPS. So if you jump across to the website and read this, this is the kind of idea that is being perpetuated in this here. So of course we know antibiotics is the main treatment for H. pylori, but it is not a treatment for LPS. We do know that they mix up omeprazole, which is used to turn down the gastric acid creation process, so that things does not get so acidic in the stomach when the treatment is being taken over the 3 or 4 or 5 weeks or whatever it is. And some persons on the herbal side, they don't take the pharmaceutical type antibiotics, but they turn for antibiotics such as the wormwood, the cloves, the turmeric and stuff like that. All those plant-based antibiotics, still they are antibiotics, and some of them are quite powerful as much as the pharmaceuticals. The clove is a very powerful antibiotic as far as I'm concerned, and they don't look, in both cases I am not finding them looking at the whole picture with LPS, and that's why this video and this article is written. For any practitioner, whether it's from the naturopath or the allopathic medicine side, let's look at the LPS and how we could deal with the LPS. Now in yesterday's article I would have mentioned NAC, N-acetylcysteine, has been shown in a lot of papers to be very good at also breaking down LPS, and we know N-acetylcysteine is good for the liver, and we know that if you break LPS, it may or not even break it, the bacteria, the exotoxins become endotoxins because they go inside the bloodstream, and the liver has to deal with them, and NAC is good totally for the liver. So we know that is one good thing for NAC, but NAC is also, that N-acetylcysteine is also shown to be good at breaking down LPS. But today I just want to move into the thinking that something like chitosan or chitosan which is basically made from the shells of fish. Simple supplement. I just took one from Amazon to show. I think this, I have a link here if you want to click to go there and see it. Chitosan is very good at breaking down. Also, it binds to and help breaks down the protective layers in LPS. So chitosan or chitosan or whatever the pronunciation seems to be one that you look at. Now you have to still be careful because I'm not advocating for the use of this widely or without consideration, because chitosan binds very much to fatty acids, so it's something that could pull out a lot of minerals too. Most of these here are binders, so you have to be careful. I think zeolite is not such a bad binder. You see activity charcoal, it's a massive binder, so you want to be cautious of how you use activative charcoal if you're not guided by some healthcare professional who has the experience. But zeolite is quite a special kind of binder from my experience. I do use activated charcoal, but again, I am conscious enough to know that when I use activated charcoal is because I want to pull things out. So stay away from food, stay away from minerals, use activated charcoal, give it some time, flush out my system with a lot of water, and then go ahead and eat my food or consume my supplements. I would be very cautious to say to anybody, you just had supplements, then use activated charcoal. You have to know how to use activated charcoal in terms of the duration of time away from food or supplements, because it is a great binder. Activated charcoal is master binder, whereas zeolite clay binds to specific things by exchanging ions, including LPS. So activated charcoal, zeolite, and bentonite, they are binders, but when it comes to a binder that's also a breaker, we are speaking about chitosan or chitosan. And so this is why I'm raising this, that there might be one person out there who is suffering from leaky gut, treating leaky gut or doing those things. Please, there are many strategies, but if you are following the general strategy from the GP for H. pylori, E. coli, salmonella, whatever other of those bacteria and whatever we have in our stomach that's eating away at your stomach, we need to understand why we may want to throw in something that breaks down the LPS, so that when you break this here apart, now the antibacterial pharmaceutical or the antibacterial from your herbal comes in and hits that internal guy here, the bacteria. Currently, what we are seeing is that they are hitting on this bubble here and they can't do anything. What the immune system is doing for itself, which is why we call it autoimmune, and you look at that video from Dr. Cyrus, you might get an idea of this. The immune system is trying to protect you because this guy is eating away at your stomach wall, so it knows, the immune system knows that there is a problem, so it comes across, it sees the source of the problem, and what it's doing is shooting little arrows here to kill something, because it has an idea that there is something. But when it comes to attach its great magnificent Minecraft guys to hook onto these things, the receptors, to kill them, it cannot reach it. It cannot. So it starts behaving wild to say there is something and I need to attack, and the immune system is attacking around the place, and it's actually helping out the bacteria by creating a weaker environment by its consistent attack with chemicals and different solutions. It's breaking up actually the intestinal walls itself, helping the bacteria to achieve its goal. So over time, the bacteria is saying, I won't do no work, I'll just wait for Mr. Immune System to come to destroy itself. And that is why autoimmune is said to be autoimmune. We are shooting our own selves in the foot, because the bacteria doesn't have to do work. The autoimmune or the immunity system is eating up our own body just to try to get to this guy. This guy is in the bubble there, lying down on a hammock, whistling and waiting for the immune system to do the damage so that it could get from here, multiply, and send its endotoxins or its toxic substance from itself up into the bloodstream. Actually, bacterial walls, bacterial cells, LPS cells now have a little pathway where they could move into the bloodstream. As we know, these things cannot happen. These things don't happen in a functional gut system. To get to the villi, you have to be at a certain molecular size or certain strata of the molecule. But now you break the villi, you could actually infiltrate and get into the hepatic portal vein and make yourself comfortable to get to the liver. And so we have liver having a lot of extra work to do in terms of the detoxification of the blood system. So thank you for viewing. If you find this interesting, please jump across to AI Health Insight. For persons who might be interested and they might be suffering from things like H. pylori or any of those kind of issues where you may want to bring that up with your medical professional and say, could you please look at this article here, AI Health Insight, using the link, and they just need to read this here and do their own research. They may come up and complement the ideas of saying, okay, let's look at this. Something like chitosan or chitosan might be an effective way to help break down LPS. Of course, there are many other ways that you could help break down LPS, but NAC, N-acetylcysteine, and chitosan seems to be very effective in helping that. But of course, any advice that you take, you must always run it with your healthcare provider. Thank you for viewing and have a wonderful day. See you on the next video.